Okaeri nasai. Welcome back. For the ones of you who don't know me, I'm Lucie and I'm a certified sake sommelier. Now, if you've seen my first video, and if you haven't, you definitely should, you might remember that I mentioned that the word sake actually means alcohol in Japanese, and the Japanese word for sake is nihonshu. And now, this can lead to a lot of confusion. And I would like to elaborate a little bit on that and move to the topic of the Japanese spirit, Shochu. I must admit that I know a lot less about Shochu than I know about sake, even though I've been trying to educate myself on the topic for a while. Shochu is a Japanese spirit and it comes mainly from the area of Kyushu. So if you have, from your point, I guess, Hokkaido, Honshu, Kyushu, and Okinawa, so it's the island down here. And it can have a base of pretty much anything. It has pretty strict legal regulations regarding production, and the production is actually rather interesting. As most delicious things Japanese, it starts with Koji. We haven't really gotten into the production of Koji yet. We might in the future. It's actually extremely interesting. What you might want to know is that Koji is basically molded rice, and we use the mold to break down the starch in the rice grain to produce sugar so that our yeast has something to eat and doesn't starve to death. Because we already know that is sad. One thing that is worth mentioning when it gets to shochu production is the color of koji. So there's yellow koji that is mainly used in the production of sake. There is black koji that is mainly used in the production of awamori. And then there's white koji that is mainly used in production of shochu. There is shochu that is made with both yellow and black koji, but it's much less common. So I'm really sorry. I feel like this is going to be one of those videos where I throw a bunch of very strange words at you and you will not remember any of them. So awamori is a spirit that is made in Okinawa, the southern islands of Japan. And it has different production from shochu, so we don't consider it shochu, even though it's a spirit. Anyway, let's get back to our shochu. Once the koji production is finished, we move to the fermentation. And this is when our main ingredient is used. So during the fermentation, there are different things added to the koji. And those are going to determine the type of shochu that we're going to get. The basic types of shochu widely known in Japan are imo, which is sweet potato, kome, which is rice, and mugi, which is wheat. There are other ingredients and can be pretty much anything from shiso to soba noodles or the sake kasu that you get at the end of the sake production. Different kinds of shochu are actually quite distinguishable from each other flavor-wise. I am not at all as versed when it gets to the flavors of shochu to tell you more about that really. But my personal favorite is imo shochu because I consider it a little more spicy, yes, a lot of flavors. So once you're done with the fermentation, you have alcohol. And what you do is you distill this alcohol in a single pot still. So at the end of the production, you have a spirit that has still a lot of character from the main ingredient. I guess you could say that it's like the difference between a cognac or grappa and vodka, where vodka is quite tasteless, flavorless. You know what? I'm going to stick with the first word. Now you know how I feel about vodkas. Once the shochu is distilled, you have your product. You can decide to age it if you want to. Aged shochu is actually quite nice. I was surprised to find out that Japanese drink a lot of shochu. Actually, the consumption of shochu has surpassed the consumption of sake in Japan. And they drink it to food, they drink it before food, after food, they drink it on the rocks, with soda as sodawari, with water as mizubari, with hot water as oyawari. They do not drink it like our shots of tequila or something. That's very rare. And how do you know that something is a shochu and not a sake? Because to be fair, the bottles look pretty much the same. And I must tell you that even with my somewhat decent knowledge of Japanese, I have really hard time determining if something is a shochu or a sake when I see the bottle. So my advice to you would be look for the words that you know and can read, like nihonshu or ginjo. If you don't find those, then you might be dealing with shochu. Best way would be to ask the staff because they definitely know they can read the bottles. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to press the subscribe button to the right and please like my video. And I hope to see you next week. Otsukare-sama desu.